There's a force within you that modern society has taught you to squander. An ancestral energy our ancestors revered as sacred, now treated as mere disposable entertainment. What if I told you that every time you indulge in fleeting pleasure, you're literally draining your personal power, your ability to command respect, your capacity to influence others, and your natural magnetic force? Have you ever wondered why some men enter a room and instantly command attention without saying a word? Why certain presences radiate an almost inexplicable authority, an energy that makes people naturally bow to their influence? The answer isn't in what they do, but in what they don't do. It's not in their external achievements, but in what they've preserved internally. Napoleon Hill, the man who decoded the secrets of the most powerful people on earth, discovered something most ignore, that sexual energy is the most potent of all human forces. Not just for procreation, not just for pleasure, but as the primordial fuel of all great achievement. He observed that the most successful, the most magnetic, the most admired and simultaneously feared men shared one characteristic: they had learned to transmute their sexual energy into creative power. But what does transmute mean? It means taking the most primal fire within you and transforming it into light. It means channeling the most fundamental force of human nature and directing it to build empires, create art, lead masses, accumulate wealth, and awaken a magnetic presence that makes others naturally gravitate towards you. Modern society has conditioned you to believe that sexual satisfaction is freedom, that expressing every impulse is healthy, that repression is neurosis, but this is a complete inversion of the truth. Every time you surrender to easy, immediate pleasure, you're choosing to be a slave to impulse instead of a master of your energy. You're trading lasting power for fleeting pleasure. You're squandering the fuel that could move mountains for a few seconds of chemical discharge. Think of history's great leaders, the immortal artists, the entrepreneurs who built empires, the warriors who conquered nations, the thinkers who changed paradigms. What they had in common wasn't just talent or opportunity, but an energetic intensity, a preserved and channeled life force that completely distinguished them from ordinary men. They possessed what the ancients called concentrated vital energy, what Eastern traditions refer to as preserved essence. Sexual energy isn't just sexual, it's the fundamental creative force of the universe manifesting through you. It's the same energy that makes a seed explode through concrete, that makes stars ignite, that drives all life to expand and multiply. When you constantly dissipate this energy through instant gratification, you're literally emptying your cosmic fuel tank. But when you learn to retain, preserve, and concentrate this energy, something extraordinary happens. Your presence intensifies. Your voice gains weight. Your eyes acquire a penetrating depth. Your confidence becomes unshakable. Your charisma multiplies. You begin to radiate a magnetic force that makes people stop to listen, respect you unquestioningly, admire you, and simultaneously fear you. Why fear? Because a man who has mastered his most basic impulses demonstrates a level of self-control that threatens those enslaved by their own desires. Because someone who has transcended the need for instant gratification operates on a level of power that others instinctively recognize as superior. Because someone who can say no to the most tempting pleasure can say no to anything, and that is simultaneously admirable and intimidating. The man who practices semen retention isn't repressing his sexuality, he's refining it. He's not denying his masculine nature, he's distilling it to its purest and most powerful form. Every day he resists the urge to discharge. Every moment he chooses preservation over waste, he's accumulating an inner force that manifests in every area of his life. His ability to concentrate multiplies because his mind isn't constantly seeking escape through pleasure. His physical energy intensifies because the nutrients and hormones that would be lost remain circulating in his system. His emotional presence deepens because his vital energy isn't constantly being drained. His intuition sharpens because the mental fog created by energetic dissipation dissipates. But the transformation goes far beyond the physical. There's a psychic, almost mystical dimension to semen retention that few understand. When you preserve your vital essence, you're not just conserving biological substances, you're accumulating psychic force, you're building a reservoir of energy that manifests as personal magnetism, as the capacity for influence, as the power of attraction, people begin to notice something different about you, even without being able to identify exactly what it is. They feel naturally drawn to your presence, your words gain weight and authority, your silences become eloquent, your confidence becomes magnetic. You develop what Napoleon Hill called sex appeal in its highest sense, not just physical attraction, but vital magnetism. And here we arrive at the deepest paradox of semen retention. The more you deny yourself immediate pleasure, the more pleasurable your life becomes as a whole. The more you resist the momentary discharge, the more charged you become with lasting energy. The more you abstain from the ecstasy of seconds, the more ecstasy you experience in successes, achievements, recognition, and the respect that naturally begins to flow in your direction. But not every man can walk this path. Most prefer instant gratification to the building of lasting power. Most choose temporary relief over the creative tension that generates great achievements, and that's precisely why those who do stand out so much. In a world of men constantly dissipating their energy, the one who preserves and focuses it automatically becomes a titan among pygmies. Seminal retention isn't just a practice, it's a declaration of war against mediocrity. It's a refusal to accept that you're a slave to your impulses. It's an affirmation that you have the power to direct your energies where you choose, when you choose, how you choose. It's the first step to becoming truly free, and true freedom is simultaneously admired and feared by those still living in invisible prisons. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, consistently practicing seminal retention. Your posture changes because you carry more energy in your body. Your voice resonates differently because your life force isn't constantly being drained. Your eyes shine with an intensity that makes people stop and stare. Your presence fills the room because you're not energetically empty. Your confidence becomes unshakable because you've proven to yourself that you can master your most primal impulses. People start asking you what's changed. They seek you out for advice. They respect you differently. They admire you for the discipline you radiate. They fear you for the inner strength you demonstrate. And you know it all started with a simple decision to preserve instead of waste. If you're feeling an awakening as you listen to this, if something inside you is recognizing this ancestral truth I'm sharing, then you're ready to begin your own journey of transmutation. And if you want to continue exploring these profound insights into masculinity, personal power, and inner transformation, subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification bell. Because what I share here isn't just entertainment, it's practical alchemy for men who refuse to accept mediocrity, men who want to become the most powerful and magnetic version of themselves. If you're one of them, your subscription is your first act of commitment to your transformation. But the journey of seminal retention isn't just about outward power. It's about awakening the inner warrior that exists in every man but remains dormant in most. It's about confronting the inner shadows that keep us prisoners of self-destructive patterns. It's about integrating the primal aspects of our nature with the higher aspects of our consciousness. When you begin this practice, you inevitably confront parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. The emotional addiction to instant pleasure, the escape from responsibility through gratification, the fear of facing life without the chemical crutches your brain has learned to expect. It's a process that reveals your weaknesses, your fears, your emotional dependencies. But it's precisely through this inner confrontation that true power is born. When you can look at your most basic impulses and say no, you're developing a willpower that extends to every other area of your life. When you can resist the most tempting pleasure, you can resist any temptation. When you can master your sexual desires, you can master your material, emotional, and social desires. The energy you preserve through seminal retention doesn't remain stagnant in your body. It transforms, sublimates, transmutes into other forms of expression. Your creativity explodes because sexual energy is intrinsically creative. Your ambition intensifies because your life force isn't being dissipated. Your work capacity multiplies because your energy system is operating at maximum capacity, but the most fascinating aspect of seminal retention is how it affects your relationship with the people around you, especially women. There's an energetic quality in the man who retains his life essence that's immediately perceptible on an unconscious level. Women can sense, even without rationally understanding, that you possess something that most men have wasted. It's not just confidence, although it is that too. It's not just energy, although it is that too. It's a quality of dense, concentrated presence that suggests genuine inner strength. It's the difference between a rushing river and a deep ocean, between a flickering candle and an unshakable lighthouse, between a hollow echo and a voice that resonates from the depths of being. And this quality of presence doesn't go unnoticed by men either. They sense instinctively that you operate on a different level, that you have access to reserves of energy and strength that they don't possess. This simultaneously evokes admiration and a primal form of fear: admiration for the discipline and power you demonstrate; fear because your presence exposes, by contrast, their weakness and lack of direction. The man who practices seminal retention doesn't need to proclaim his superiority. It radiates naturally through his posture, his voice, his gestures, his presence. He doesn't need to compete aggressively because he operates in a different category. He doesn't need to strive to impress because his refined energy naturally impresses. This doesn't mean arrogance or contempt for others. On the contrary, when you find your own power through inner discipline, you develop a natural compassion for those who are still slaves to their impulses. You understand their prison because you've lived in it yourself, but you also refuse to return to that prison, no matter how comfortable it may seem. The practice of seminal retention also awakens mental faculties that remain dormant. Your ability to concentrate intensifies dramatically because the energy that would normally be dispersed through sexual release remains concentrated in your system. Your memory improves because the essential nutrients that would be lost continue to nourish your brain. Your intuition sharpens because the mental fog created by constant energy dissipation. But perhaps the most profound benefit is the development of what the ancients called spiritual willpower. When you can say no to the most primal and powerful urge of human nature, you develop a capacity for choice that extends to all other areas of life. You are no longer a victim of your impulses, whether sexual, dietary, material, or emotional. You become the commander of your own experience. And commanding yourself is the first step to commanding anything else. True leadership isn't born from external positions of authority, but from inner authority over oneself. Genuine respect isn't earned through external achievements, but through the demonstration of internal self-mastery. Real power doesn't come from controlling others, but from having absolute control over your own energies and impulses. The journey of semen retention is therefore an alchemic journey. You are literally turning lead into gold, converting base energy into refined power, transmuting primal urge into conscious power. Every day you resist the temptation of easy discharge. You are strengthening psychic muscles that most people don't even know exist. And like all true alchemic practices, it demands sacrifice. You need to sacrifice immediate pleasure for lasting power, momentary relief for creative tension, instant gratification for the building of inner strength, the ecstasy of seconds for the magnetism of a lifetime. But the fruits of this sacrifice are extraordinary. Your presence becomes magnetic. Your voice gains natural authority. Your silences become eloquent. Your confidence becomes unshakable. Your energy multiplies. Your creativity explodes. Your ambition intensifies. Your capacity for leadership emerges naturally. And the people around you begin to notice this transformation. They may not be able to explain exactly what has changed, but they sense a different quality in your presence, an energetic density that wasn't there before, an inner strength that radiates through your words, gestures, and even your silences. This is what Napoleon Hill called refined sexual magnetism, not cheap seduction based on performance or appearance, but deep attraction based on concentrated life force and preserved energy. It's the kind of magnetism that doesn't seek attention, but naturally attracts it, that doesn't need to strive to impress, but impresses through simple presence. And when you develop this kind of magnetism, you discover you no longer need to chase success, relationships, or recognition. They begin to gravitate naturally towards you, drawn by the energetic force you radiate. You become a human magnet, not through techniques or strategies, but through the concentration of your own vital essence. But perhaps the deepest aspect of this entire journey is the spiritual awakening it provides. When you learn to transmute sexual energy, you are learning to work with the most fundamental forces of the universe. You are connecting with aspects of yourself that transcend the purely physical and mental, touching dimensions of power and consciousness that most people never experience. Sexual energy, in its highest form, is spiritual energy, its divine creative force manifesting through human experience. When you learn to honor it, preserve it, and consciously direct it, you are participating in a sacred process of inner alchemy that has been practiced by mystics, warriors, and leaders throughout human history. This is your choice in this moment. You can continue dissipating your life force through habits that provide momentary pleasure, but leave you energetically empty, perpetually seeking the next discharge, the next distraction, the next escape. Or you can choose the path of the inner warrior, preserving and transmuting your energy into lasting power, genuine magnetism, and transformative presence. If you choose the second path, you will join the ranks of men who refuse to accept mediocrity, who chose to build inner power instead of seeking external pleasure, who decided to be admired for their strength and feared for their self-control instead of being invisible in their weakness. Semen retention is not just a physical practice, it's a philosophy of life. It's a declaration that you are worth more than your most basic impulses, that your energy is too precious to be wasted, that you have the power to direct your forces to create the life you truly desire to live. And when you finally awaken from this illusion that constant sexual gratification is health, when you realize that each unnecessary discharge is literally a drain on your life force, when you understand that true freedom doesn't come from expressing every impulse, but from consciously choosing which impulses deserve your energy, at that moment, you will begin your true journey towards personal power. The man who masters his sexual energy is not the one who denies it, but the one who refines it, who elevates it, who transmutes it from primal force into conscious power, who transforms base fire into refined light. And when that light begins to shine through you, the whole world takes notice. You become simultaneously admired by those who recognize your strength and feared by those who feel threatened by it. This is the alchemy of semen retention. This is the secret that Napoleon Hill discovered by observing the most powerful men of his time. This is the power that has always existed within you, waiting only for you to have the courage to preserve it, direct it, and transform it into the magnetic force that will make you not just another man, but a truly extraordinary man. The journey begins with a single decision, the decision to preserve instead of waste, to build instead of dissipate, to accumulate inner strength instead of seeking external relief. And when you make that decision, when you take the first step on this alchemic journey, you will discover that the power you sought in the outside world has always been waiting within you, needing only to be awakened through the sacred discipline of energetic transmutation. Your destiny isn't to be another average Joe, frittering away your life force on empty pleasures. Your destiny is to awaken the Titan within, to use your sexual energy as fuel for great achievements, and to radiate the kind of magnetism and power that makes you both admired and feared. The choice is yours. The energy is yours.
The power has always been yours.